Have you ever thought about making your own podcast? Is there something that the podcast world is just missing that you want to put in it? Well, do what I did and download Anchor. If you haven't heard of it, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's totally free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast, and it's all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hello, and welcome to Apparitions and Alibis. I am your host, AJ Stallman, and today is Nut Day. Happy Nut Day, all of you who are nuts about true crime and paranormal mysteries. For today, we're talking about a gang member who helped take 5 lives. Let's get into it. A gang in Oakland, California killed 5 victims from late 2002 and early 2003. The victims were all male and all died in the midst of the gang's crime sprees. The victims were as followed: Douglas Ware, Sonny Thatch, Jerry Duckworth, Keith Mackey Harris, and Joseph Mabry. Only Sonny Thatch was killed during a robbery. What does a gang have to do with Nut Day, AJ, you may ask? Well, they called themselves the Nutcases. And the 6 members all had a planter's Mr. Peanut tattooed on them. It is said they simply killed and robbed for the thrill of it. All of the Nutcase gang defendants were related, except for Leon Wiley, who was called the leader of the group by the police. In the gang were DeMarcus Rawls, DeMarcus's half-brothers Joe Rawls and Corey Sutton, their cousin Deontay Donald, and their sister-in-law Amina Dorsey Colbert. Prosecutors sought the death penalty for Joe and Leon, as well as DeMarcus. Today, we will be focusing on DeMarcus Rawls. In 2006, he was convicted of being guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of second-degree murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, 17 counts of robbery, 1 count of kidnapping, and 1 count of shooting into an inhabited building. One of Rawls' attorneys told jurors that while Rawls was guilty of many crimes, he shouldn't be convicted of murder because he didn't fire any fatal shots in any of the murders that he was accused of committing. His defense attorney also showed Rawls' difficult childhood after being born to a drug-addicted mother. They also stated he suffered through an aberrant upbringing and spent his life trying to find somewhere that he belonged. His attorney argues that Rawls never had a chance in life because of his mother's addiction to drugs and his family neglecting him. However, during the trial, he was asked multiple questions, didn't really seem to have an answer for any of them. When asked if he embarked on the crime spree on his own or because of the gang, he replied, "I don't know." He was asked if he had any mercy for Sonny Thatch while he and his wife returned from doing laundry. Rawls responded, "What do you mean?" He then admitted that he shot the wife, but doesn't know why he did. The wife eventually recovered from her wounds. He was also asked if he took responsibility for killing Sonny. Rawls quietly answered, "If I did it, then yeah," but stated he didn't remember shooting Sonny. He was then asked if he cared about the victims he killed. He answered, "At first I didn't, but now I do." Rawls said he didn't care about his victims until the trial, when he was sitting at the defense table and hearing the witnesses and the evidence. He also stated that he has written letters to the families that were impacted. He just hasn't mailed them. The letters were asking for forgiveness. When asked why he didn't stop committing crimes, he answered, "I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I don't understand. Rawls was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Prosecutors had sought death. When his verdict was read, he remained emotionless until his attorney put her arm around him and smiled. He smiled back. He wasn't happy about facing life in prison, but it's a lot better than the alternative. To end on a little more happy note, here are some random facts about peanut butter. Peanut butter jellyfish? High-protein food is often included in diets for marine animals, so scientists wondered what would happen if they fed it to a cluster of baby moon jellyfish. Not only did the little ones thrive off of peanut butter, but they turned into a slightly peanut butter color. It can help confirm Alzheimer's. Patients who have been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's have trouble smelling anything through their left nostril, and peanut butter has to be 10 centimeters closer to them for them to be able to detect the smell. Peanut butter is a purely olfactory scent, which means that you only smell it with your nose. So it can really help our future in medicine with Alzheimer's. Europe is out of the loop. Not only do they not enjoy peanut butter, but the mess they have over there is not as smooth and creamy as we have it. The Netherlands actually call it peanut cheese, which sounds really gross. And if you want to try peanut butter while visiting, just know you may pay an arm and a leg for a small jar. It's also not just for eating. It helps get stuck on labels off. Slap it on there for 10 minutes, let it sit, and then wipe it off, and your sticky label should be gone. So while the nutcases took lives, peanut butter might be saving not only human, but marine lives as well. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed.